This is the magical world's version of Love Island, a romance reality show. The chosen handsome men and beautiful women will, while in disguise, find a suitable partner based on true love at a party. The men and women who connect with each other will reveal their identities after the party ends. If their feelings haven't changed, they will hold a grand public wedding in the capital. The entire process will be broadcast via Magic Stone and watched by the whole empire. Can the girl find her own happiness in this romance show? Just a short while ago, the girl wore a look of utter despair, because just yesterday, she married this man. She had no choice, as it was a political marriage. A fallen family will first sell off the easiest thing to sell. As the daughter of a former wife and a thorn in their side, the girl was the first to be sold. Her three half-sisters stared viciously at the girl. The next second, they viciously shoved the girl into the water. No matter how the girl cried for help, they remained indifferent, merely mocking her cruelly. The girl should have known then. All that was left of her life was to keep sinking. With a family so eager to sell her off, how far would the girl sink? On the girl's wedding night, she suddenly remembered something she had read in a book as a child. A husband and wife should be honest with each other, a relationship where they can share their innermost thoughts. Two people who don't know what the other is like, merely holding each other tightly and constantly mating, cannot be called a marriage. So the girl wanted to ask her husband to wait. She wanted to talk first. She felt that conversation between a husband and wife was important. Lou Ailey, you seem to have misunderstood. You're not here to chat. How much money do you think I spent to bring you, the daughter of a fallen family, here? And you don't even have a noble bloodline. You should be grateful that I'm treating you as a wife, the man said grimly. Seeing this side of the man, Lou Ailey was stunned. The next morning, the maids came in early to clean the room, while the man smoked, looking displeased. To wear a long face in front of her husband on the very first day, how disappointing. What about tonight? Look at that gloomy face. Facing that unadorned woman, I've lost all interest. He then put on his clothes and left, without saying a single word to Lou Ailey. Her mood hit rock bottom once again. The maids at the side were gossiping nonstop. How long do you think this one will last? What if she hangs herself like the one before? She's so young and pretty, she should last a bit longer. I wonder if it's because the master doesn't like that face that he didn't touch her. The more Lou Ailey heard, the worse she felt. She left the room in a huff. When Lou Ailey was a child, whenever she faced something unbearable, she would often escape to the library, because when she read, she could enter another world. Even if just for a moment, she could briefly forget the cruelty of reality. Count Liza, whom she had married, had made a lot of money through the trading business. Lou Ailey had heard that the place was filled with Count Liza's personal collection. Perhaps there would be rare ancient books. Perhaps there would be the kind of collection she had dreamed of as a child. But as soon as Lou Ailey entered, she was met with a gaping, bloody maw, which gave her a fright. Only then did Lou Ailey realize that this was the Count's personal collection. In an instant, it made her feel that this was the lowest point. It felt as if she had sunk to the very bottom, a place from which no one could pull her out. Late at night, Lou Ailey stood alone on the balcony railing, growing more and more desperate. Magical opportunities are always given to special people. Someone like her didn't even have the right to be naive. The chosen ones keep rising, while she could only keep sinking without even a single chance. Just then, a feather slowly drifted down. Lou Ailey looked up. In the night sky, an owl was flying towards her. The owl stopped slowly in front of Lou Ailey. It handed Lou Ailey a letter. Inside, it was written, "Will you enter the Jewel River?" There is only yes, not two choices. The girl then realized this was an invitation to Jewel River, the daughter of a fallen family, and already married at that. She wondered why she would receive an invitation. But no matter, it wasn't like she had anywhere she wanted to stay. The girl kissed the letter. The next second, a burst of magic emanated from the letter. The magic flowed around Lou Ailey's body. Before long, the magic transformed into a black formal dress on Lou Ailey. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in her mind. Someone who can gaze directly into the abyss in your dark eyes. Welcome, Watcher of the Dark. Please proceed to the party. Just then, the door behind Lou Ailey was pushed open. The Count suddenly stumbled in, drunk, but he couldn't see Lou Ailey's figure. He only saw a single black high-heeled shoe left on the balcony. The Count was furious and immediately ordered his servants to search for her. Little did he know, Lou Ailey had entered a teleportation circle. Passing through the teleportation circle, Lou Ailey arrived in a strange space. As she landed, she was caught steadily by a man. "Thank you for accepting the invitation." Welcome to Jewel River, Star Darkness. And the man before her was the organizer of Jewel River, the Moonlit Owl. This strange space was the waiting hall for the participants of Jewel River. Lu Ailey couldn't believe it. Had she really entered Jewel River? It was impossible. She didn't meet the criteria. The Empire's Jewel River gathered the most noble and special men and women of the Empire. They would choose their marriage partners while in disguise. Participants would receive a jewel alias, and their appearance would be transformed to match the jewel, hiding their true looks, name, age, and even status. All for the sake of finding a partner through true love. The participants will always be in a sealed-off space. The men and women who connect with each other will reveal their identities after the party ends. If their feelings haven't changed, they will hold a grand public wedding in the capital. The entire process will be broadcast via Magic Stone and watched by the whole Empire. Even the Empire's crown prince, in the first season of Jewel River, found his princess. Political marriages thus faded from the stage, making way for marriages that dreamed of love. The people of the Empire were crazy about this spectacular party, and its viewership rose year after year. It even attracted the nobility because it was proven that this party was extremely beneficial to them. Even if their representative didn't end up successfully paired, if they were well-liked on the broadcast and had good editing, they could still win the love and support of the people. Normally, only high nobles from the 8 kingdoms would be chosen as jewels, and the competition to become a jewel was fierce. Therefore, Lu Ailey was very flustered. Why was she invited to the party? Something must be wrong. Just then, the owl began to explain. Lu Ailey came from a fallen family and was already married. Normally, Jewel River would not accept a married person. The reason Lu Ailey was chosen as a jewel was because of this girl, Mariana, who had appeared in the newspapers. The most popular jewel from the 4th season of Jewel River, Pink Diamond. She won the hearts of everyone in the Empire and built a happy family with a wonderful man. However, she lost her husband 2 years ago. She expressed her wish to participate in the 5th season of Jewel River to find her next marriage partner. Mariana was supposed to be here, but she went missing last night. Neither the participants nor the audience knows about this yet, and they absolutely must not find out. So they need Lu Ailey. They need a substitute to ensure Mariana's disappearance doesn't leak out. Lu Ailey will take her place as a stand-in. Because becoming a jewel changes one's appearance, it's not a big deal if she looks different, especially since Mariana, a participant from the 4th season, was known to use powerful transformation magic, and they had only one criterion in mind. There was only one condition we considered. That is a desperate woman, someone with a strong reason to keep their secret, someone who would never betray them. The other participants and the audience will not know about your marriage, and we will help you remarry the man of your choice. If Lu Ailey wants to live alone, they can make that happen too, as long as you play the role of Mariana until the party ends. Are you willing? Actually, for Lu Ailey, the moment the owl said he would help her remarry, Lu Ailey had already agreed. She accepted without hesitation. A moment later, at the Jewel River venue, the Magic Stone recorders had already started working. Lu Ailey was also waiting there. Just then, a silver-haired man slowly walked out. Lu Ailey glanced at the owl beside her. She remembered what the owl had told her. On the first day, the jewels will get to know each other to learn more about one another. No one is allowed to reveal their true identity. To keep their identities secret, lying is permitted. Build your character to the best of your ability. That way, your true identity will never be exposed. At that moment, the silver-haired man had already approached Lu Ailey. He greeted her warmly. He felt that perhaps because of her jewel's color, Lu Ailey looked full of secrets and thus so alluring. The man introduced himself. His jewel name was Platinum. Great, finally a name that isn't a mouthful. Just as Lu Ailey was about to introduce herself, Platinum said that revealing secrets voluntarily would ruin the charm. With that, he started to guess Lu Ailey's jewel name. Are you Black Sapphire? Or Black Spinel? Or perhaps Diamond, like in the last season? Lu Ailey remembered the owl's instructions. You are Mariana, the woman who captured all the male jewels with her flirtatious charm. A woman who has never been rejected. Lu Ailey kept thinking about how Mariana would react in this situation. Immediately, Lu Ailey suppressed her panic and calmly told Platinum that he was completely wrong. So, the chance would have to go to the next gentleman. Unexpectedly, not only was Platinum not angry, he actually found Lu Ailey to have a great personality. Just then, another male participant appeared. He introduced himself efficiently. He was Alexandrite. Why is it so long? At this, Platinum said, Alexandrite, isn't that the jewel that changes color between day and night? It seems you're a two-faced and sinister person. But the efficient Alexandrite completely ignored Platinum and instead questioned Lu Ailey. Lu Ailey immediately said, you could try to guess. After a moment of thought, Alexandrite gave his answer, Black Diamond. Wrong. Looks like the chance will have to go to the next gentleman. Platinum certainly wouldn't let go of the guy who had just ignored him. Just then, the third man appeared. It was actually a child. But then again, after becoming a jewel, one's appearance changes, so it might be completely different from their original look. The boy came up and asked 3 men and 1 woman, is the gender ratio this skewed? Platinum teased, it seems the female jewels haven't all arrived yet. Is a little brat afraid you can't compete with me? The boy was furious. Who are you calling a little brat? But then he realized his mistake. Anyway, I'm Garnet. I look forward to getting to know you all. Platinum, acting familiar, told Garnet to guess Lu Ailey's jewel name. Garnet thought seriously for 3 seconds and gave the same answer as Alexandrite. Black Diamond. Unsurprisingly, this was met with Platinum's merciless ridicule. After that, 2 female jewels appeared at the same time. The short-haired woman was sharp and carefree. The long-haired girl seemed a bit clumsy. The short-haired woman was very enthusiastic, taking the long-haired girl's hand as they entered the hall together. Just then, an owl was projected into the sky. He was the host of this party. The host then introduced the space, which was specially created for all the jewels. Here, they cannot communicate with the outside world. To prevent any personal information from being leaked, they had also set up security magic. He hoped everyone would choose their desired partner based on pure love alone. Jewels who successfully choose each other can leave this island for their own private date. Information learned during the date cannot be shared with any other jewels besides each other. He then told everyone to enter the teleportation circles to go to other parts of the island. But one teleportation circle could only take 3 people. The short-haired girl was the first to enter a teleportation circle. The long-haired girl wanted to go with her, but she accidentally tripped again. Garnet quickly went to comfort her. In the end, the 3 of them entered one teleportation circle. Alexandrite then invited Lu Ailey to go with him. But Platinum squeezed in, saying he wanted another chance to guess her jewel name. The people watching the live broadcast didn't expect this kind of grouping. They had actually already seen the pre-show interviews. Platinum's ideal type was a flirty girl, like Pink Diamond from the 4th season. Alexandrite preferred a confident and frank girl, like Miss Mariana. Pink Diamond is participating in the 5th season of Jewel River. Are you confident you can recognize her? A reporter asked. Platinum confidently stated that he would definitely recognize her at a glance. Alexandrite, on the other hand, said that if he recognized her, he would definitely fall in love with her. It turned out both of them thought Obsidian was Pink Diamond. Indeed, among the 3 women, Obsidian had the most flirtatious vibe, even having a hint of Mariana. It turned out everyone was very curious about who Pink Diamond really was. Coming back to the present, the 3 were teleported to a magnificent mansion. Platinum suggested that since they were here, they should tour the mansion. Afterward, the 3 of them toured the various facilities and buildings of the mansion. As expected, it was not just luxurious, but extremely luxurious. Later, the 3 of them wandered to the edge of the woods. Beyond that was the beach. At this point, Lu Ailey saw that the time was right and introduced herself as Obsidian. Platinum was puzzled. Isn't Obsidian more like a mineraloid than a jewel? Alexandrite, at the side, also mentioned he'd heard that jewel names are automatically assigned based on one's own characteristics. He inferred that Lu Ailey's personality must be very similar to Obsidian. In Alexandrite's homeland, Obsidian is often used to describe a woman's heart broken by sorrow. It turned out Alexandrite still believed Obsidian was Mariana. So Lu Ailey played along, being mysterious. You can slowly ponder the meaning behind my jewel name as you get to know me. Isn't that why we've all gathered here? Platinum was instantly moved by this statement and frantically started promoting the purity of Platinum, saying his love was just as pure. The people watching the live broadcast were also enthusiastically shipping the couple. After that, Platinum's advances became even more aggressive. He even declared that the star of this 5th season of Jewel River was none other than Lu Ailey. It was just unclear whether he was attracted to Pink Diamond or to Obsidian. Soon, Lu Ailey returned to the women's dormitory. The short-haired girl was very curious if Obsidian was interested in either of the 2 men. At this point, the screen cut to an interview. Which jewel are you most interested in? Lu Ailey was extremely nervous, frantically imagining what Mariana would say at this moment. But just then, the owl used magic to give Lu Ailey a hint. He told Lu Ailey to just follow her heart and give her answer. Who are you most attracted to right now? After a moment of thought, Lu Ailey gave her answer, I don't have anyone I'm interested in. After all, she had been so focused on acting that she had no extra energy to observe the man. But the audience outside thought she was very honest. It wasn't easy to answer like that. Even though Platinum had been showing off, he still hadn't managed to capture Obsidian's heart. At this time, in the men's dormitory, Garnet was fuming and complaining nonstop. The long-haired girl kept falling down and was so disoriented she couldn't even open a door. How can a normal person be that clumsy? Platinum pointed out with a single sentence that Garnet seemed to care quite a bit about the long-haired girl. Garnet's face turned red as he said, how could I not care? If I don't watch her for a second, she'll roll down the stairs. The observant Alexandrite asked about the two girls' jewel names. Garnet replied that the short-haired girl was Pearl, and the long-haired girl was Amethyst. When Platinum asked who Garnet was more interested in, Garnet shyly said he needed to spend more time with them to know. But Platinum confidently said that it only takes him 3 seconds to know if a woman is meant for him. In the interview segment, Platinum was of course most interested in Obsidian. She gave him the feeling that this is the one. But Platinum didn't know if Obsidian was actually Pink Diamond. As for the next few, when asked who they were most interested in, no one had a clear target. Pearl felt that Platinum's appearance was her type, but since it was a transformed look, it was very hard to choose. But it was only the first day, so it was understandable that they didn't know each other well. For the first day of the Jewel River party, everyone needed to prepare dinner with their own hands. The things in front of everyone are what the commoners of the Empire love to eat most, a home-style dish called farming soup. Each person, please choose an ingredient to put into the soup and complete the dish, the host instructed. Pearl saw at a glance that any jewel who could cook a commoner's dish here would surely be very popular with the people of the Empire. Amethyst nervously picked a carrot. Garnet immediately showed concern. The surface of a carrot is hard and round. If your hand slips, you could easily get hurt. He then took Amethyst's carrot and started cutting it for her. Just then, Pearl mentioned that a previous jewel had cut her hand while peeling potatoes. The pampered princess was so startled by the blood. Platinum said that it's understandable for royals not to cook. He only learned from watching the show that you have to remove the sprouts from potatoes. At this, Platinum stared blankly to the side. At that moment, Obsidian was about to go to fish. She turned her head, only to find everyone staring at her. Pearl muttered, Pink Diamond, the princess who hated blood and knives, was Pink Diamond. Pink Diamond was terrible at cooking. She never thought cooking would be so difficult. She resolved to treat the kitchen staff well. When someone asked if she planned to learn how to cook, she bluntly said she'd rather just double the head chef's salary. Knives and blood? I don't even want to look at them. Everyone stared in unison at Obsidian. Pearl didn't forget to tease, you're quite skilled with a knife, aren't you? Obsidian, Lu Ailey, suddenly made a bold and terrible mistake. In her fallen family, she was treated the same as a maid. Therefore, she had to become skilled in all sorts of trivial household chores. But Mariana was someone who had never done such things in her entire life. Platinum felt like his world was collapsing. But just then, an unexpected person came to his rescue. He praised Obsidian for being truly outstanding. He could tell from her knife skills that Obsidian was a meticulous and serious person, and he really liked that kind of personality. It was Alexandrite. Oh, you need me to help you cut that? Alexandrite asked. Obsidian immediately expressed her thanks. After everyone worked together, the soup was finally ready. After taking a small taste, Platinum was surprised that it tasted quite good. It wasn't as bad as he had imagined. This was because he remembered during the first season of Jewel Box, the first bowl contained a strange food. At that time, Peridot, faced with a burnt soup, drank every last drop, sparking a heated discussion. It turned out that Peridot's identity was the crown prince. The entire empire was in an uproar. Indeed, Garnet, however, was puzzled. The first season of Jewel Box was 20 years ago, right? You guys remember that. The two of them were instantly petrified on the spot. Pearl didn't forget to add insult to injury. It seems you two are quite old. The two immediately started making excuses, but the show strictly forbids revealing one's true identity. Is it really okay for them to deduce things through conversation like this? Alexandrite immediately suggested they could test it. So he asked the guileless Garnet, how old were you when the first season aired? Garnet thought for a moment and was just about to answer. The next second, his mouth was sealed by a suddenly appearing mask. Amethyst shot up, extremely worried. Just then, the host also appeared that if you attempt to reveal your identity, the security magic will automatically activate. If the security magic is activated more than 3 times, that gem will be issued a warning and will be stripped of 1 gem selection right for a one-on-one date with their gem of interest. We hope everyone will act with caution and not lose your precious gem selection right. After the mask was removed, Garnet indignantly questioned Alexandrite. Why did you ask me that question? But Alexandrite said you can use lies to gloss over questions you can't answer. Lies, so that means you can just pretend to be someone else? Platinum muttered to himself, but his gaze turned to Obsidian, who was at the side. Just then, Pearl said, of course you can act. If people knew your real identity, they might approach you because of your background. That wouldn't be pure love. Platinum agreed with this sentiment. The more someone hides, the more curious you become, and the more you want to know. That's what makes it interesting. Right, Obsidian? It seems you're very curious about me. I'm so curious I'm going crazy, Platinum answered bluntly. How? Is this any different from a public confession? But the audience began to wonder if Obsidian was really Pink Diamond, because her cooking skills were just too good. Then they thought Pearl also seemed a bit like Pink Diamond, and their colors are also very similar. A lady outside the venue commented that if she were Pink Diamond, she would definitely practice her cooking skills. After all, the first day's activities could expose her identity at any moment. At this moment, in the men's dorm, Platinum was constantly trying to trick Garnet into revealing his identity. Alexandrite spoke up. He felt that in their recent conversations, he found that some people left him with an impression different from before. Garnet felt the same way, except for Platinum. He's a very persistent man. That night, it was time for the interest selection to convey their feelings. They had to write on cards marked with a magic circle. Write down their feelings for the person they're interested in. After saying the person's name, the magic circle will connect to that person's room. Place the card in the magic circle, and the other person will receive it. It's possible for one person to receive several cards, right? If someone gets multiple cards, that means someone else will get no cards. It's so intriguing. Garnet received a "You're a nice person" card, but his brow was furrowed. Platinum and Alexandrite both received "I want to get to know you better" type cards. At this moment, the teleportation circle in Obsidian's room was buzzing. Obsidian had actually received 3 cards. This meant all 3 men had chosen Obsidian. Garnet's reason was very simple. He felt that the way Obsidian used a knife was very cool. It was completely different from his initial impression of her, so he voted for her. Alexandrite felt his first impression of her was strong, and after talking, he felt they got along very well. As for Platinum, he was as persistent as ever. No other woman could even catch his eye. Amethyst thought Garnet was very nice to her and felt he was a good person. Pearl voted for Platinum. She was inexplicably drawn to Platinum. Besides his looks, it was also the vibe he gave off. Obsidian, on the other hand, voted for Alexandrite, but it was clearly a blind vote. After filming was over, the owl removed his disguise. Just as Lou Ailey was feeling sorry for her mistake, the owl said it was fine, because even if Mariana had participated, he would have had her make a similar move. Because in every season of Jewel Box, to attract other gems to participate, we always reveal one person's identity. They're what you call a decoy. In the first season of Jewel Box, we announced that the Crown Prince was participating. To avoid being exposed, he deliberately practiced before filming, a manner and tone of voice different from his usual ones. Mariana also planned to undergo similar training before joining the shoot. So, Lou Ailey's accidental mistake will be seen as an act by Mariana to hide her identity. Of course, you can't keep making mistakes. Otherwise, the audience will suspect that Mariana isn't among the gems at all. So to reduce mistakes, I, the owl, will continue to coach you. A few days later, the commentators invited the Crown Prince and Crown Princess to watch the next part of Jewel Box with them. At this time, on Jewel Island, Obsidian was spacing out. Just then, Platinum walked over. He probed, "Are you thinking about the sea back in your hometown?" Obsidian suddenly let out a snort of laughter. This was because she had already studied up on Mariana. She, like Mariana, was from the 8th Kingdom. But Mariana was the princess of the 8th Kingdom, a country whose main economic industry was maritime trade. Knowledge exchange is frequent, and the culture is diverse and rich. The national sentiment also adjusts quickly to changes in the external environment, showing an open attitude, just like Obsidian and Mariana. That must be why they chose Obsidian, who comes from the same country as her. Obsidian thought that if she mentioned the sea of the 8th Kingdom right now, It would make her seem more like Mariana. But if she were Mariana, she would definitely hide her identity. So she replied, "The sea is beautiful no matter where it is." But in truth, she especially loved watching the sunrise. Platinum was even more smitten. He then asked Obsidian, "Do you like taking a walk by the sea while watching the sunrise? Or how about being carried by a man on a walk?" Obsidian had no time to refuse. Besides, refusing would be strange, because Mariana was famous for being free-spirited. There were even rumors that after her marriage, she had numerous handsome lovers. Furthermore, the chaotic social culture in the Sixth Kingdom, where Mariana married into, made her even more open and unrestrained. Then Obsidian teased, "Isn't this the same as yesterday? Dull and boring." Platinum thought she had a point in that case. "Let me give you a brand new experience today." He then pushed Obsidian down and leaned in to kiss her. Although Obsidian was surprised, she could only play along. She immediately wrapped her arms around Platinum, bringing them even closer. Just as the atmosphere was getting better, but Ailey suddenly remembered her wedding night. Bad memories flooded her mind, and she abruptly opened her eyes. Platinum also noticed that Obsidian was not in the moment and consciously pulled back. Obsidian tried hard to think of a way to ease the awkwardness. Then she decided to put the blame on Platinum. "Come to think of it, I didn't vote for you yesterday. If you kissed me because of some misunderstanding, I apologize. It's precisely because you didn't choose me that I kissed you. I'm seducing you, so you'll choose me next time." The commentators were watching with great excitement. Then they cut the feed to Alexandrite. At this moment, Alexandrite was about to eat breakfast, completely unaware that his rival had already scored a home run. Over here, Obsidian and Platinum walked back together. After learning the two had gone to the beach, Pearl said she wanted to go too. Indeed, Alexandrite noticed that Obsidian's feet were wet. He immediately went forward to wipe Obsidian's feet, but Platinum clearly didn't want to give this interloper an opportunity. He brought over some food. The two men were secretly competing with each other, but Obsidian perfectly demonstrated how a queen bee is made. Not only did she not refuse Alexandrite's attentiveness, she also kept her distance from Platinum, whom she had just passionately kissed. Just then, the owl appeared. Today, he had prepared a game for the gems. The winner of the game would earn the right to a romantic sea date. Focused on listening to the host, Alexandrite accidentally dropped the apple in his hand. Garnet skillfully caught the apple. Soon, everyone arrived at the beach. The owl explained today's game. Today's game is for the male gems. The winning male gem can choose two female gems to spend a romantic time with at sea. And the game is a water joust. Make all your opponents fall into the sea. The last one standing is the winner. Platinum was already eager to give it a try. Soon, the three men got ready and went to the center of the magic circle. Garnet attacked first. His target was surprisingly Platinum. Platinum was shocked. His strength and weight were very light. The owl explained, "In the game, the bodies of the gems are not the ones transformed by magic, but your own original bodies. So you can use your own strength, weight, and stamina." Garnet was suddenly filled with confidence. "You two better get ready. If you're fooled by appearances, you'll end up in the sea." The three on the shore had different expressions. Pearl thought it was starting to get interesting. Amethyst was worried. In the arena, Platinum launched an attack on Garnet, but Garnet discovered that Platinum's original body seemed to be quite slender. He easily repelled Platinum. At this point, the shrewd Alexandrite wasn't sure if Garnet was very strong or if Platinum was very weak. So he launched a test attack on Platinum. He soon discovered that Platinum was not as weak as he had imagined. Seeing the two of them standing together, Garnet planned to take them both out at once. The two discovered that even with their combined strength, they could barely withstand Garnet's attack. It was hard to imagine how strong he was in real life. The expressions of the three on the sidelines all changed. This game might just change the whole situation. In the end, the two decided to team up and take out Garnet first. At the same time, the shrewd Alexandrite realized that Garnet's strength, weight, and combat experience were all far superior to theirs. He then figured that Garnet must be used to his own tall and heavy body. In that case, he must rarely be attacked from above. As expected, due to Garnet's unfamiliarity with this body, he was eliminated. Next up was a 1v1 true man's battle between the two. Garnet, who had come ashore, received everyone's concern and praise. But he still said that if he got hurt by a young punk like that, he'd be too ashamed to eat. On the field, Platinum was already panting, although he was fast, but for some reason, he suddenly felt unwell. He was knocked out of the ring by Alexandrite, ending the match. In the end, Alexandrite won the game. The final winner can choose two female gems they are interested in and go on a date with them. Which two female gems will Alexandrite choose? Unsurprisingly, Alexandrite chose Obsidian and Pearl. Afterwards, the three of them leisurely enjoyed afternoon tea on the sea. The two women praised Alexandrite for his bravery just now. At this point, Alexandrite asked the two what their ideal type of man was. Pearl confessed that she likes a man with a nice smile who can be affectionate. But Obsidian, thinking of Mariana, said she likes a man who can bring a sense of novelty every day. However, this happened to be the complete opposite of Alexandrite's personality. Fortunately, Obsidian immediately explained that it was precisely because she had never met someone like Alexandrite that she found it even more novel. And Pearl also seemed to be intentionally trying to set the two of them up. Pearl suddenly mentioned that Alexandrite is a gem that changes color between day and night. Alexandrite explained that it's a gem that changes color based on the reflected light. It's emerald green in sunlight and purplish red at night, and their gem names are determined by their own characteristics. Pearl was curious if Alexandrite's personality was different during the day and at night. Alexandrite jokingly said she could come find him at night to find out. As the three of them continued to get to know each other, Obsidian discovered that Alexandrite, just like her, was very interested in books and ancient languages. But since she had to pretend to be Mariana, she didn't know whether to admit it or not. But she thought that these little things could be explained away as an act. So she began to chat with Alexandrite about ancient languages. And Pearl, at the side, noticed that she had never seen such a bright expression on Obsidian's face. However, the scene now cut to the losing team. Garnet was complaining about how the transformation magic was disadvantageous for him, but then he noticed Amethyst, who had fallen to the ground after failing to climb a tree. Amethyst was trying so hard to comfort Garnet because she had heard him complaining about the transformation magic. But Garnet stubbornly said he wasn't complaining. Maybe the production team was afraid that if he participated with his original appearance, all the women would be obsessed with him. But Amethyst said that in that case, she was actually glad there was transformation magic, because if Garnet were even more popular than he is now, she would be very sad. After such a blunt confession, the young lady shyly ran away. Such a blunt confession from the young lady, when it reached Garnet, became the conclusion that Amethyst doesn't want me to be popular. Amethyst hates me. Platinum couldn't help but retort, did all the energy that's supposed to go to your brain get devoured by your muscles? But Garnet could only think of this one answer. Platinum had no choice but to go along with him. Just then, an announcement came. Tonight, there would be a chance for a real encounter outside the island. A mutual selection. The successful male and female gems will spend a day alone outside the island. And outside the island, the security magic will be lifted. Everyone can talk freely. When the three returned to the castle, Platinum, who had been waiting for a long time, wanted to talk to Obsidian. Afterwards, the two left holding hands. Garnet had originally wanted to wait for Alexandrite to return for another sparring match, but Platinum had run off. But just then, Pearl offered to spar with him. Garnet was overjoyed. Alexandrite, with nothing to do, also joined in. Unexpectedly, Pearl's swordsmanship was quite impressive. Afterwards, the three of them mounted horses and played polo. Only Amethyst stood to the side, hesitating. Platinum took Obsidian outside. It was because he had discovered that this garden and this castle were all maintained by a large number of magic circles. By giving the trees just a little bit of spiritual power, he could make the branches change seasons and bloom. However, just as Platinum was about to show off, a sharp pain shot through him. His body felt extremely uncomfortable, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Just as Obsidian was about to comfort him, she was reprimanded, "Don't touch me." Before long, Platinum finally felt a bit better, but his breathing was very unsteady. Obsidian could see that Platinum didn't want anyone to see him being sick, so she led Platinum to a bench to sit down. Platinum apologized emotionally. "If it were you, would you forgive me?" Obsidian also discovered Platinum's cute and vulnerable side, like a small puppy, and Platinum was enjoying it. He said he would be like a fawning puppy, obediently listening to Obsidian's words, just begging for one chance. For that, he promised to never let Obsidian feel bored. At dinner time, hearing that some of them had gone horse riding, Pearl invited Obsidian to join them next time. But Obsidian explained that she didn't know how to ride a horse. This was probably to mislead everyone, but in fact, she really didn't know how. Platinum even offered to teach her how to ride. Only then did Obsidian become a little worried. If her skills were too clumsy and she showed a level different from Mariana's, would it be strange? Alexandrite came to her rescue, saying, "If you don't like horse riding, there's no need to force yourself. There's also a piano in the villa. I can play a piece for the ladies." Pearl suggested they could hold a ball, which was met with unanimous approval. Just then, the owl flew in and began the first real encounter, couple matching. Likewise, if the person of the opposite sex you choose also chooses you, the two of you can go outside the island for a real encounter. Unexpectedly, Garnet and Pearl became the first successfully matched couple. Platinum and Alexandrite, without exception, chose Obsidian, and Obsidian's choice was Platinum. And Platinum finally got his wish and obtained the chance for a real encounter. An hour earlier, just as Obsidian was about to write down her choice, she was stopped by the owl. She had actually wanted to choose Alexandrite because Alexandrite made the real Obsidian feel at ease. But the owl told her that Alexandrite was born in the 5th kingdom, Urakan. He heard that Alexandrite often traveled to the neighboring 6th kingdom, Kelia, for trade matters. So it was very likely that he had frequently met Mariana, the queen consort of the 6th kingdom. Therefore, the two might know each other. But the owl wasn't sure how close their relationship was. But if they had had a private relationship, he might notice that Obsidian was not the real Mariana. On the island, due to the security magic, everyone is lying. Sometimes they even act. Even if they reveal their true selves, it can be explained away as an act. But in a real encounter, they will have an in-depth conversation. Al felt the risk was too great, so he had Obsidian choose another man. Thus, Obsidian chose Platinum. Afterwards, the two successfully matched pairs were sent to different places. Platinum and Obsidian arrived in a land of ice and snow. Meanwhile, Pearl and Garnet arrived in a desolate desert. Al explained that this was to make them reveal their true selves in desperate situations, to have them show their true colors under extreme circumstances. At this point, Platinum was already starting to feel unwell. But luckily, they had props left by the organizers. In the suitcase the organizers left for them, there was a high-grade item, a magic stone. After placing the magic stone into the sleeping prop, a small bedroom surprisingly appeared. Besides that, there was also food and medicine, as well as a prop called environment optimization. An environment optimization was a magic capsule, but under its active condition, moving would accelerate the consumption of the magic stone. Having no choice, the two had to turn off the capsule and find a suitable place to settle down. In the end, they chose a very beautiful spot, although Platinum was already very uncomfortable by this time. In comparison, Garnet and Pearl were quite at ease, as if they were on a camping trip. Moreover, both had very cheerful personalities, without the slightest bit of awkwardness. On the contrary, they were both very happy. Pearl even generously revealed her identity. She was Princess Layla von Hertiz of the 7th Kingdom, and Garnet was Lysander Alima von Sapidor, a prince of the 2nd Kingdom. The 2nd Kingdom is located in the south, so Garnet was very familiar with the desert. The 7th Kingdom is by the sea, so Pearl is a good swimmer. Although Garnet is a prince, he has 5 older brothers. But Pearl is an only child. Her father, the king, wants to pass the throne to her, so her father wants a son-in-law who will marry into the family. Therefore, Pearl became concerned about whether Garnet's family would agree to him marrying into another country. But Garnet had never concerned himself with these things, so he didn't know. Couples who are joined in matrimony through the jewel box will be granted the right to rule their home countries by the empire. A royal family that obtains this right to rule will have more power than a governor dispatched by the empire. But the people of the 2nd Kingdom didn't seem to agree. They didn't want the throne of the 2nd Kingdom to be inherited by Garnet's older brother, and they all urged him to choose someone else. Over on Platinum and Obsidian's side, although Platinum was somewhat deliberately probing Obsidian's background and identity, just as Obsidian was about to pull out her prepared plan to play games with him, Platinum kissed her without any warning. Then he whispered in Obsidian's ear before confirming our physical compatibility. "It's too early to talk about love." This was his favorite line from the previous 4 seasons of the Jewel Box. Therefore, he wanted to use their bodies to confirm their feelings for each other. A few hours earlier, Obsidian had already anticipated that. With Platinum seeing her as Mariana, this kind of thing would happen if they were together. The still naive Obsidian didn't have the ability to fend him off. But Al told her not to worry, because he was the planner of this party. In the true encounter, he would decide whatever happened. So he was certain that Platinum wouldn't have the leisure to provoke Obsidian. Just as he said, Platinum, who was about to make a move, suddenly heard a wolf's howl. He turned his head to see several wolves appearing outside the capsule. They attacked the capsule, but were repelled. Realizing they couldn't break in, the wolf pack chose to retreat. And Platinum, at this moment, confessed his deep feelings to Obsidian again. But he unintentionally said the line, "A husband and wife should be a relationship where they can share their innermost worlds, even when stark naked." This was exactly what Obsidian had said to her husband on their wedding night, so she was somewhat moved. And Platinum also asked Obsidian not to reveal her identity. He was afraid Obsidian would suspect him of being attracted to her status and background. He wanted to show his pure love. Over on Garnet and Pearl's side, Garnet was very flustered because he had only just realized that he was supposed to sleep with Pearl. But Pearl told him there were 2 beds here, so of course they would sleep separately. Garnet, however, said that 2 beds in 1 room was no different from sleeping together. How could an unmarried man and woman sleep in the same room? Pearl was stunned. She hadn't expected Garnet to be so old-fashioned and innocent. In the end, Pearl slept on the bed, while Garnet slept outside the capsule in a sleeping bag. But the desert nights are cold. No matter how Pearl tried to persuade him, he stubbornly insisted on being tough. But the organizers wouldn't let him off the hook. Just as the stubborn Garnet heard a hissing sound, he looked down to see a swarm of scorpions crawling on his sleeping bag. Pearl didn't want to laugh, unless she really couldn't hold it in. Pearl suddenly thought that if she lived with Garnet, it would definitely be very interesting. They were of similar age, their personalities were compatible, and even their interests and hobbies were similar. But due to realistic factors, it was difficult for her to see Garnet as a marriage partner. The next morning, the 2 who hadn't been successfully matched were quietly eating breakfast. Jadeite could see Amethyst's absent-mindedness, and the more Amethyst tried to explain, the more she was indirectly telling others that she was worried about Garnet. It was something anyone could see, but the person involved just couldn't. Jadeite advised Amethyst to be more proactive, so that Garnet could understand her feelings. But actually, Amethyst also wanted to be proactive, she just didn't know how. She even practiced horse riding to immerse herself in the things Garnet liked, though the results were less than satisfactory. She even fell off once, but she didn't care, just like how she had been rejected once before. Although it was painful, she didn't want to just leave it to fate. She also wanted to do something to change the current situation, perhaps out of sympathy, or perhaps out of admiration for a person full of courage. Jadeite decided to teach Amethyst how to ride a horse. While teaching Amethyst polo, over on Obsidian's side, while sound asleep, she heard a coughing sound. After getting out of bed to check, she found that Platinum had a fever. Just as Obsidian was about to get medicine, she was pulled back by Platinum. With a frail look on his face, he said he wanted Obsidian to stay by his side. That way he would get better faster. Obsidian eventually lay down beside Platinum, gently patting his chest. "Cute little puppy, do you need me to sing you a lullaby?" "Master, I think I'm already cured." Obsidian's actions deeply moved Platinum. He wanted to repay her. Obsidian promised that if there was anything he wanted, he should just tell her. The next morning, the teleportation circle lit up and everyone returned to the mansion. Afterwards, they each returned to their dorms, briefly exchanged stories about the scenes they encountered in the true encounter, and then prepared for bed. But Obsidian couldn't fall asleep. "I'll notice this," and came to find her. Obsidian asked him a question. Was Platinum sick with something? This surprised Owl, because he hadn't expected Obsidian to be heading in the direction he had hoped for. That's right, he wanted Obsidian to develop feelings for Platinum. Because if she had feelings for Jadeite, but kept not choosing him, the other gems would become suspicious. So he asked Obsidian if she wanted to form a love line with Platinum. But at this moment, Obsidian hesitated. The jewel box allows for free physical contact. She was afraid that Platinum's subsequent physical contact would become even more intense. Only then did Owl realize that Obsidian was still a virgin. On her wedding night, that man forced her to drink red wine. After she downed the wine in one gulp, just as her fiancé was about to force himself on her, Obsidian, who couldn't hold her liquor, just threw it all up. After that, she passed out. That was also the reason her fiancé was so angry. This certainly stumped Owl. One of the reasons he chose Obsidian was because she was a married woman. And the reason Obsidian acted so well was because she had also secretly imitated the pink diamond from the 4th season. Moreover, she longed to become such a person. But as soon as she had physical contact with a man, her mind would go blank. Owl was at a loss, but he soon thought of an idea. Afterwards, when Obsidian went downstairs to eat, she was immediately greeted by the puppy's welcome. But when Jadeite wanted to talk to her privately, Obsidian tactfully rejected Jadeite. This also declared that Obsidian had completely drawn a line with Jadeite. Afterwards, she told Platinum that she had something she wanted to say to him. Platinum, overjoyed, swept Obsidian up in his arms. "Where do you want to talk?" "Just tell me, master." Afterwards, the two rode horses to a secluded place. The moment they dismounted, Platinum couldn't wait to kiss her. But to Platinum's surprise, Obsidian pushed him away. She told Platinum that there had always been someone in her heart that she couldn't forget. It turned out Owl's plan was this. Mariana had lost her beloved husband in an accident. He had Obsidian create a persona of someone who still hasn't forgotten her dead husband, and thus finds contact with other men painful. So Obsidian said that she needed time to forget that person. Platinum not only believed this story, but he also felt extremely guilty. In his single-minded focus on expressing his feelings, he had ignored Obsidian's. He said he would be like a good puppy and wait for Obsidian, no matter how long it took. Watching this scene, the off-site commentators began to suspect Obsidian must be Mariana, right? Because in the fourth jewel box, they were a match made in heaven. And in the pre-competition interview, Mariana said frankly that she had not yet forgotten her husband, Viserys, and might never be able to forget him. However, Viserys' country does not allow a woman to inherit the throne, and the two had no children. In that case, the right to rule the country would have to be returned to the empire's governor. They guessed her husband probably wouldn't have wanted that to happen. If she remarried, she could continue to manage Viserys' country with her husband as the queen consort. Originally, the public didn't understand why Mariana would remarry after only 2 years. Now, they knew it was all for Viserys. This way, Obsidian's personality issues were rationalized by the audience as her personality having changed after losing her husband. For 4 days, the gems were chatting in the mansion. Only those two went out on a date early in the morning. Pearl felt a bit bored, so she asked Jadeite to go horse riding. Garnet and Amethyst wanted to learn too. Pearl then proposed a bet. They would form 2 teams, and the team that reached the end of the small island first would win. And the way they formed teams was the most traditional kind. In the end, Pearl and Jadeite's team was galloping at high speed. Meanwhile, Garnet, worried that Amethyst would fall off, didn't dare to speed up. Finally, he clasped Amethyst's hands around his waist and started to sprint. But because the speed was too fast, Amethyst ended up curled up against Garnet's back, which caused Garnet's old-fashioned nature to flare up. In the end, they lost the race, and the punishment was that the two of them had to walk back. At this point, Garnet was very confused. If Amethyst disliked him, she should just find someone else. Why did she keep following him? This statement directly made Amethyst cry. She hadn't expected Garnet to think that way. She, who only wanted to be with Garnet, never thought it would make him think that. She then left the bewildered Garnet behind and ran away. Over here, Pearl and Jadeite were galloping on their horses. But Jadeite saw Platinum and Obsidian on a date. Seeing through Jadeite's thoughts, Pearl encouraged Jadeite to steal his love. Coincidentally, at that moment, Obsidian's horse got spooked and threw Obsidian to the ground. Platinum hurried forward to check on her. Jadeite, however, calmed the horse down. Then he gentlemanly helped Obsidian up. Obsidian had sprained her ankle a bit. Platinum swept Obsidian up in his arms and carried her back to the mansion for treatment. Looking at Obsidian, who was injured from falling off a horse, everyone couldn't help but wonder, could it be that Pink Diamond wasn't very good at horse riding before? Owl also realized that this could very well expose the act. Therefore, he needed to make everyone think that Obsidian was acting. However, he still hoped that Obsidian wouldn't do things beyond her capabilities just because she was playing Mariana. After all, the more she did this, the more obvious the differences between the two would become. For example, with Platinum, although their intimate contact had decreased after their talk, if things continued to develop, he would sooner or later discover that Obsidian wasn't just being passive, but was incredibly clumsy. Therefore, he thought of 2 ways to deal with this. Either end the love line with Platinum, or quickly become proficient in handling matters of pleasure. But obviously, that was impossible. Just as Owl was considering the first option, a knock sounded on the door. It was Platinum. Owl then used magic to teleport away. Platinum had come to bring Obsidian food. At the same time, he had a lot he wanted to say. He felt he had been a bit offensive to Obsidian, because Obsidian hadn't been able to forget her husband, and yet Platinum kept doing things that crossed the line. He even thought Obsidian's resistance to horse riding was also because of her husband, like a little dog begging for its master's forgiveness, worried about its master while also wanting to help. Meanwhile, on the organizer's side, under Owl's manipulation, the incident of Obsidian falling from the horse was edited out. The broadcast focused on the daily scenes of Garnet and Amethyst, and at a time like this, it was the organizers' turn to make a move. And his way of breaking the current stalemate was a game. A game for the female gems. The winning female gem could choose 2 male gems to spend a romantic time with in the sky. And today's game was horseback archery. Ride a horse at a run and shoot at a target. The person who hits the target in the shortest time wins. And since Obsidian had injured her ankle in the fall from the horse last night, everyone was more worried about her. Obsidian's final time was 4 minutes and 32 seconds. It was Amethyst's turn, who had been quiet for a long time. She was very determined. Her extra lessons with Jadeite had paid off. She could now handle a horse very well. It was just a pity she hadn't practiced archery. 6 consecutive missed shots directly led to her failure in this game. And when it was Pearl's turn, unsurprisingly, she completed the game in just 28 seconds. But the competition wasn't over because Owl brought out the final contestant. The next second, a magic circle lit up and a figure appeared. The horse was still running, but she was already prepared to aim and shoot. The next second, the ball exploded. Amber, 11 seconds. An unexpected dark horse. Amber won this game. And the 2 gems Amber chose were surprisingly platinum and jadeite. Afterwards, the 3 of them went up in a hot air balloon. Amber greeted the 2 of them. The 2 responded politely. And in the subsequent Q&A, Platinum directly revealed that he was already taken, indirectly drawing a line. Moreover, in the conversation that followed, he also acted with a sense of indifference. But Amber was not discouraged by this, instead confidently guiding the conversation, just like Mariana. And when Jadeite asked about Amber's ideal type, Amber said that before, she didn't have a so-called ideal type because she was curious about all men. But as she got older, her state of mind changed somewhat. She liked someone who can stay by her side for a long time, someone stable, and most importantly, someone healthy. Hearing this, Platinum was momentarily stunned. And next, a sentence from Amber stunned everyone. She said that although she likes horse riding and archery, she doesn't like hunting because she doesn't like to see blood or guts. And her favorite foods are things with cinnamon powder, like cinnamon pie, cinnamon cookies, and baked cinnamon bananas. And baked cinnamon bananas was a dish that Platinum taught Pink Diamond in the 4th season. That was also the first dish the 2 of them completed together. Even their auras were very similar. The crowd outside began to guess. Could it be that Amber is the real Mariana? After returning to the dorm, Garnet looked at the 2 silent men. He didn't understand what had caused this situation. The 2 began to guess if Amber was acting in order to hide her true identity, deliberately pretending to be that person. Thus, the 2 of them fell into confusion. Equally confused were the viewers outside. They also began to doubt whether Obsidian was really Mariana. Some people believed that Obsidian was hiding her true self. Others believed that the personality gap between Obsidian and Mariana was too large. This intense debate was happening all over the country. In the following days, Amber kept sharing her fascinating stories, making Garnet and Jadeite laugh heartily. She lifted the atmosphere here as if she were the main character. And in today's interviews, everyone's reaction was very consistent. They all liked Amber very much, thinking she was great. Jadeite even thought that Amber was his type. That night, Amber said she wanted to take a walk around the island before bed. Garnet and Jadeite both volunteered to accompany her, and Amber accepted the 3 of them going together. Platinum, however, tactfully declined Amber's invitation, using Obsidian's injured ankle as an excuse. Afterwards, the 3 of them went for a stroll in the courtyard, while Platinum went to Obsidian's room. Platinum asked Obsidian a question that in the first true encounter, "Why did you choose me?" This was naturally Owl's arrangement. She definitely couldn't say that. Obsidian's answer was, "I just felt like it." At that time, in the garden, Obsidian felt that the puppy-like Platinum was very cute. Hearing this, Platinum couldn't hold back either. He moved closer. "I'll become even cuter." He could and wanted to do more for Obsidian. After Amber returned to the dorm from his outing, he easily blended in with everyone. Even Obsidian was encouraged by him. After Amber joined, the atmosphere in the dorm completely livened up. That night, Owl came to Obsidian's room, but he didn't give any explanation for Amber's arrival. Instead, he told Obsidian that he didn't need to know everything about this variety show. He would only tell Obsidian the information he should know for now. This way, he could act naturally in front of him. Then, Owl began to explain today's filming content to Obsidian. Over at the men's dorm, Garnet was very happy. He thought Amber was a lot of fun. He could even make trivial stories sound interesting. He wished Pearl was there. Platinum didn't know if he was happy because he had a new playmate or because there was a new woman, but it seemed he didn't know himself what he was happy about. The off-screen commentators were also very curious. Who was the Amber, admired by all, interested in? Then came Amber's first interview. He felt that what Platinum said today about developing feelings for someone within 3 seconds was somewhat similar for him. Some people just fall in love at first sight, finding themselves drawn to the other person without realizing it. So the person he had feelings for was Platinum. It was precisely because of Platinum's indifference towards him that he became even more curious about this man. Curious about what kind of person Platinum really was. And even if Platinum fell for someone else, he was confident he could show Platinum what kind of person he was. Making him change his mind would be more interesting. The commentators were all impressed by his bold actions, speculating whether he could steal the heart of the pure Platinum. At this time, in the mansion, accompanied by Amethyst's skilled piano playing, several people began to dance gracefully. Although Garnet's dancing was clumsy, Amber considerately said he would stay out of the way, telling Garnet to dance as he pleased. Soon, the song ended. Although Platinum really wanted to ask Obsidian to dance, he knew Obsidian's ankle hadn't fully healed. Meanwhile, Amber used the rule of exchanging 5 petals for a gem to ask Platinum to dance with him. Even while dancing with Amber, Platinum kept looking back at Obsidian. Amber noticed this. He suddenly praised Platinum for being amazing. Even with his attention elsewhere, he didn't step on his feet. Only then did Platinum realize that Amber was a very skilled dancer. But this scene left Platinum stunned. He actually saw the figure of Pink Diamond in Amber. Soon, the song ended. Amber suggested playing a game that Amethyst could also enjoy with everyone. It was a card game. Amber also wanted to be on a team with Amethyst to teach him how to play. Unexpectedly, Amethyst's team kept winning. Amethyst's luck was really good. Garnet even kept losing money, so he suggested changing the game again. At this point, Amber suggested playing Find the Liar. The rules of this game were simple. Each person draws a card. The one who draws the joker is the liar. Everyone takes turns asking a question. Everyone must answer, but the liar has to lie. Then, everyone tries to figure out who the liar is. After that, everyone started drawing cards. First was Pearl. His question was, is your transformed appearance very different from your original appearance? Platinum thought he was okay. Obsidian, answering as Marion, said he was a little different. Only Garnet, with a guilty look, said that his transformed appearance wasn't much different from his original one. It was obvious that everyone immediately guessed that Garnet was the Joker in this round, and the penalty for losing was to drink a mix of various liquors. It was Garnet's turn. His question was whether he thought the real encounter was interesting. Those who had been on one all said it was interesting. However, Amethyst also answered that he found it interesting, but it was obvious he had never been. After the real encounter question, it was Amethyst's turn to ask. His question was, compared to the first real encounter, have your feelings changed? Amethyst shyly stated that his feelings hadn't changed from the very beginning. Everyone said they hadn't changed, so they had to point out the person they suspected. However, everyone guessed who the real Joker was. Only Garnet actually doubted Amethyst's words. This made Amethyst feel sad for a moment. But the real Joker was Pearl. He had obviously changed his mind. Only then did Garnet realize what Amethyst meant by his feelings not changing. Then it was Amber's turn to ask. His statement was, I am currently interested in more than one person. Amber said he was only interested in one person. Amethyst said he was interested in a few people. Platinum was not. Obsidian was curious about a few people, and Garnet, surprisingly, was too. However, when everyone suspected that Amber was interested in more than one person, they found out he was actually telling the truth. The game was lost, so everyone had a drink. And if the liar didn't want to reveal their identity, they could also take the penalty with them. So, in this round, everyone drank. At this moment, Obsidian noticed Platinum's expression. He seemed a little sad. Next, it was Amethyst's turn. His statement was, I am acting to hide my identity. The naive trio naturally said no. Amber said he was a little. Platinum also said a little. But Obsidian surprisingly said he wasn't acting. Instantly, everyone pointed at Obsidian. Everyone thought Obsidian was acting. Obsidian was indeed the liar. He accepted the penalty. Afterwards, his statement was, if I realized I was deceived by someone, I might not be able to forgive them. Platinum stated very seriously that if someone used lies to interfere with his emotions, then he truly couldn't forgive them. However, besides Platinum, everyone else's answer was that if the person gave a reason for lying, they might be able to forgive them. At this point, Amethyst realized he was the liar, but had told the truth. Not a big deal. He just had to drink the drink. It was Platinum's turn. His statement was, I want to reveal my identity as late as possible. Just as everyone was about to answer, Amethyst suddenly collapsed. Everyone then realized Amethyst was such a lightweight, so the game ended there. Everyone helped Amethyst back to the dorm. Only Platinum sat there in a daze. Late at night, Obsidian was already fast asleep. Meanwhile, on the beach, two people who couldn't sleep and went for a walk ran into each other. Amber answered Platinum's last question. He thought revealing his identity later would be more interesting. Platinum thought so too. Everyone here has a special identity. There's no opportunity like this on the outside. Only then did Amber realize that Platinum was also confused, so he began to approach him boldly. He had heard that Platinum's body and heart were both very honest, and kissed him. He wanted to use Platinum's body to give him the answer he wanted. A moment later, Platinum found Amber to be very experienced. Amber felt the same about Platinum. On the 8th day that followed, it was time to match couples for the second real encounter. It was still a mutual voting match, but the couples from the first real encounter could not choose each other this time. This time, Pearl chose Amethyst. However, Amethyst did not choose Pearl. Amethyst once again chose Garnet. But unexpectedly, Obsidian also chose Garnet. But anyone with eyes could see that he was deliberately choosing someone he couldn't match with. Doesn't this mean that Obsidian thinks that rather than going on a real encounter with someone other than Platinum, it's better to stay on the island? At this moment, Garnet slowly walked down the stairs, and the person he chose was surprisingly Amethyst. Amethyst was very nervous and also excited. Garnet was also nervous, but more than that, he felt awkward. And Obsidian, who failed to match, was as calm as expected. This also confirmed everyone's suspicions. Amber's choice was naturally Platinum, but what was unexpected was Platinum actually successfully matched with Amber. The audience found it incredible. Obsidian even more so. He received a message from Owl. After calling out to Obsidian a few times, Obsidian didn't react. Owl then realized that Obsidian was heartbroken. He was starting to be unsure of Platinum's true feelings. So Obsidian was very confused. He thought Platinum naturally approached him because he thought Obsidian, even if not Marion, was a high-ranking noble. At this point, Owl began to tell him the real reason why Marion was chosen as the bait product for this season of Jewel Match. As a marriage partner, Marion's appeal lies not in her person, but in her background. In Jewel Match, only one partner in a married couple holds the right to rule. If one becomes the ruler of their own country, the other must give up the right to rule their own country. Marion, for Basilis's sake, gave up her right to rule her home country, the 8th Kingdom, married into her husband's country, and became the queen consort of the 6th Kingdom. But Basilis passed away without an heir, and the 6th Kingdom does not allow a woman to inherit the throne. Moreover, not long ago, the king of Marion's home country also passed away. Before the king died, he earnestly hoped that Miss Marion could return to her home country. If she doesn't go back, the right to rule the 8th Kingdom will remain in the hands of the Empire. So Marion's purpose in remarrying is to have a new husband protect the right to rule the 6th Kingdom and merge it with the rule of the 8th Kingdom. The two kingdoms are not far apart. If negotiated well, they could be ruled jointly. Basilis's home country, Celia, has gold and diamond mines and is the most prosperous of the 8. Marion's home country gathers all the resources of the 8th Kingdom. This means that the man who marries Marion will have the right to rule two kingdoms, possessing immense wealth and power. Furthermore, it will create a huge buzz, attracting countless royals to apply for Jewel Match. If they gain popularity in Jewel Match, even if they don't get married in the end, they will have huge influence in the empire. An illegitimate child who becomes famous in Jewel Match can get a key position in the royal family, possessing even greater power than a legitimate royal in their own country. In Obsidian, playing this role, any gem associated with him will become the biggest topic of conversation, because he is the most coveted bride. Obsidian finally realized. So that's what Platinum meant when he was afraid Obsidian would think he liked him for his background. Meanwhile, the successfully matched pair arrived at a strange place. It was a maze, and their task was to escape the maze together. This time, the suitcase contained quest items, toiletries, and food, and also a scroll. Amber seemed very happy about this, as if it were an adventure. But Platinum didn't seem to think so. As for Garnet's side, it might be a bit difficult. Two people who aren't good at using their brains are paired together, so this encounter will take a lot of time. Therefore, for now, Obsidian and the others have more free time. Owl wants to use this time to make Obsidian more like Marion. Therefore, to become more skilled, he still needs a lot of practice. On the other side, Garnet was going crazy, not knowing how much longer they had to walk. Garnet saw a statue that he had clearly seen just before. He planned to smash the statue, thinking that would be the way out. Garnet threw a powerful punch. Suddenly, many disgusting vine-like tentacles shot out from inside it. Platinum and Amber found a 10th door sealed by a secret spell. Following the riddle on the scroll, Platinum recited, "The great sun is named Elpida. The 8 stars are named Salpato. Sealed, Mitria, Uragon, Celia, Hedes, Cieles, Ortera." The stone door's seal broke open. Amber said, "The great sun is the Elpida Empire. The 8 stars symbolize the 8 great kingdoms that serve the empire." Platinum said it was a very simple riddle. He often sang this nursery rhyme. Amber unconsciously started singing the rhyme too. Platinum praised her singing voice as very beautiful and pleasant. Amber asked him what his favorite song was. Peridot's Love. Platinum thought it was a very old song. When the first season of Jewel Match aired, this song was very popular. Then, the two of them sang Peridot's Love in perfect harmony. The off-screen commentators exclaimed that both of their singing voices were beautiful, and they looked very comfortable together. Garnet and Amethyst were in a sorry state, tormented by the vines. Now, the Chase and Garnet didn't dare to have any more funny ideas. Garnet noticed the crystal shoes Amethyst was wearing and asked if they were uncomfortable. Amethyst didn't deny that they were a bit uncomfortable. "But we're not riding horses, are we?" When riding a horse, if you ask the production team to change them to shoes suitable for riding, they'll change them to the kind of shoes you're wearing. Garnet was surprised that "So you wear these shoes all the time, except when riding." Amethyst said he couldn't take off his transformation item. Garnet asked worriedly, "What about when you're bathing or sleeping?" Amethyst explained, "When I bathe, they temporarily turn into an anklet." Garnet asked him why he didn't ask the production team to change the shoes to a comfortable style when he was walking. Amethyst said, "If I changed them arbitrarily, the royal magician who made the transformation item would be sad, wouldn't they?" Garnet couldn't take it anymore. He told him to change them immediately, saying that he was just overthinking it. Amethyst immediately changed them, and they became comfortable casual shoes. Amethyst happily said, "This feels so good and comfortable." Garnet shouted, "You should have changed them a long time ago." Amethyst started crying and said, "I didn't think this would make you angry." Garnet was a little flustered. He was indeed a bit speechless at Amethyst's words, but he never meant to make him cry. The commentators said that Garnet was angry because he saw Amethyst wearing such uncomfortable shoes this whole time. But the two of them don't seem so bad together. Hopefully, they can communicate more. But they haven't solved a single problem yet. Are they going to live here like this? At this moment, Obsidian was brought to an unfamiliar space by Owl. He explained that this was his personal library. It's impossible for anyone else to find the entrance. Owl snapped his fingers. Obsidian's clothes changed. Even Owl's clothes changed. It turned out Owl intended for him to practice dancing. Although it would be difficult for Obsidian to become as skilled as Marion in a short time, if he kept practicing, he should be able to reach the average level of a royal. With Owl's help, Obsidian practiced his dancing. Obsidian found that he was dancing much better than he had imagined. Was it because he felt at ease with so many books around? Did his body feel much lighter than usual? I'll ask him how long he had practiced dancing. Obsidian said he learned until he was 16. Owl asked if his biological mother had passed away before he was 16. Obsidian said that because of their half-sibling relationship, his stepmother didn't fire the dance teacher, so he learned for a long time. Owl told him that if he kept practicing, he should be able to reach Marion's level of dancing. Wanting to chat more with Obsidian, Owl conjured up a bar counter, and he told Obsidian that Marion was a famous drinker. Alcohol tolerance can also be improved by drinking. Drinking slowly while chatting in a comfortable environment is different from drinking hastily in a tense environment. Owl told him to drink slowly. Owl asked him to talk about his story before marriage. For example, what kind of child were you in the past? Lueli asked Pearl who Alex chose this time. Pearl thought that both his and Platinum's ideal type was Marion, so he asked Alex what he thought. Alex said he didn't make his choice based on that. He just chose the person he was more curious about, Obsidian. Pearl excitedly said, from the first impression to the sea date, and for the first and second real encounters, you've chosen Obsidian every single time. Alex said he was still the most curious about him. Pearl thought this was a good opportunity. While he's mad at Platinum, you should go and win him over. Alex said that there was something he cared about more than winning someone's heart. If one of those two is Marion, that means the other one is acting. And by playing Marion, what does he stand to gain? At this moment, Amber asked Platinum, "Aren't you curious about who I am?" Platinum replied, "Do you want me to know your identity that badly? Isn't it more interesting to reveal it later?" Amber thought Platinum should want to confirm it quickly. Platinum was very curious why she wanted him to confirm it so badly. "If I'm not the person you think I am, isn't it dangerous to rashly let our feelings progress further?" Platinum told her she might have misunderstood something. "If I were afraid of that, I wouldn't have come here with you." The commentators were shocked. Does Platinum mean that regardless of whether Amber is Marion, he is attracted to Amber? Platinum told Amber, "I'm not curious about your identity. It's that all of your actions surprise me." Platinum wanted to know why Amber gave up the safe option and made the most dangerous choice. The commentators were also puzzled. Until the very end, no one was sure if Platinum would choose Amber. Amber explained that she was also curious about him. Amber was thinking at that moment. No one knew what the others looked like or their backgrounds. Everyone had to carefully calculate their gains and losses through their masks. But this man, in just 3 seconds, became sure of his feelings and launched a fierce offensive. So this was what Amber was curious about. Platinum asked her, "What about now? Do you know now that we've interacted?" Amber said she still wasn't sure. "I want to get to know you better. I have to slowly peel away your shell." Platinum said he also always wanted to get to know you slowly like this. Meanwhile, Garnet asked Amethyst if he wanted to learn martial arts, thinking he had a talent for it. The commentator was speechless, thinking they really had no intention of escaping the maze. Could it be that they had forgotten about the scroll? Obsidian told him about her past. She loved to read. In books, there was a completely different world, a brand new world she had never experienced. I could enter those worlds and become one of the characters. In the books, I could be a glamorous star. I could also be a noble princess and even have a wonderful romance. Whenever that happened, I could forget reality. Al thought she seemed very dissatisfied with reality. After my mother passed away, I was always very depressed. My stepmother didn't like me, and neither did the sister she brought with her. After my father died, they treated me like a burden. That home wasn't a happy place at all. Al asked her if she had ever liked someone, even briefly. Obsidian wasn't sure if it counted as love. Obsidian admitted she liked someone. He was a person very similar to me. He liked old books before I did, because in every book I read, there were traces of that boy. It was his habit. Maybe every time he turned a page, he would move the bookmark sleeve along with it. For any book that boy had read, all the bookmark sleeves would be on the last page. Later, without even flipping through, just by looking at where the boy placed the bookmark sleeve, I could tell the book's binding style. And he kept the books very clean. After hearing this, Al retorted, "You don't like that boy. You like the books more, don't you?" Obsidian hesitated for a moment. She didn't really know the boy either, but they always chatted using notes. From that day on, they passed notes to each other through that book, sharing interesting and happy stories. They said all the things they couldn't say to anyone else. Obsidian felt that chatting with that boy was a great joy. Although she didn't know what he looked like, his age, or his name, she was sure that the boy was in fact a boy. Al said, "It seems you two are just pen pals." Obsidian said she had kissed him. Al was confused, "But you've never seen what he looks like, have you?" Obsidian said she kissed him through a curtain. Al thought she would feel bad about this. Obsidian said that although she didn't know what he looked like, she at least knew her own feelings. Al explained, among the couples who fall in love in Jewel Match, many change their minds when they see each other's real faces in the final round. If you saw that boy's face, maybe your feelings would change. And maybe that boy's feelings would change too. This made Obsidian's mood drop instantly. Al said her romantic experience was closer to a fantasy. In that respect, it was interestingly similar to Jewel Match. The start of Jewel Match is also similar to this situation. Falling in love with someone without knowing their appearance or identity. Alexander is just like that boy, the scholarly type. You must like people with that kind of vibe. It was because he said he liked ancient languages. A flutter appeared in Obsidian's heart, because it reminded her of that boy. Al asked her if there was anyone she hated. Obsidian said Count Lazar without hesitation. Apparently, that man likes to collect taxidermied specimens of mermaids and elves. A long time ago, countless magical creatures lived on the Cartier continent. Humans, based on the power of mana, would capture any magical creatures that came near them. That's why all magical creatures are now extinct, with only the specimens left as human trophies. This is a shameful part of the Cartier continent's history. Those beautiful and kind creatures, just because of human greed. And he's proud of collecting that evidence. He has no shame at all. From what Al understood, Count Lazar was a young, handsome, and wealthy man. The people around him all had a very good opinion of him. Obsidian said, "That's all because they don't know what he's really like, what kind of person he is." For a moment, Al felt that she was different from how he had imagined her. She's similar to Marion in many ways, not afraid of physical contact with a man whose face she doesn't know. She explores the other person's inner world, holds fast to her own beliefs, doesn't care about others' opinions, and pursues her own preferences. Many citizens of the Empire love a Marion like that. Al said he could also feel her charm. The difference between you and her is probably that during actual physical contact, you get flustered and your whole body freezes up. I'll move closer, asking her if she wanted to test it out. Platinum and the others found the next pattern scroll. It asked them to state their names. Both of them were stunned. Amber unhesitatingly said their fake names. As expected, there was no reaction at all. Platinum thought that they should say their real names, and that just one person's would be enough. For this, Amber proposed a game. Stare into each other's eyes. You absolutely cannot look away from the other person. The first one to look away loses. Platinum agreed without hesitation. The commentator was absolutely thrilled to see this scene. The way the two of them looked at each other was as intimate as a couple. Amber asked Platinum if he had kissed Obsidian. Platinum nodded, not lying. Platinum shyly asked her, "Why did you join Jewel Match? What do you want to get out of this Jewel Match?" Amber said she wanted to find a partner worth choosing, someone who can be with me for a long time. This time, Amber asked Platinum, who makes his heart race, Obsidian or Marion? This question left Platinum momentarily unable to answer. He told her he didn't know either. Amber found it hard to judge. Amber asked him again why he wanted Marion. What is it about Marion that makes your heart pound whenever you think of her? Platinum told her it was her soul itself. Amber didn't believe him and thought he was lying. Platinum said that at this rate, they couldn't determine a winner or loser. Amber thought he wanted to give up the game. It turned out Platinum was conceding defeat on his own initiative. He wanted to let her see his true appearance. The commentator didn't expect Platinum to want to take off his transformation item. Platinum told Amber, "My real name is Ian. Dido Elpedium." At that moment, the portal opened. Amber was shocked. Someone who could use the name Elpedium. The crowd watching outside realized that person was a pure-blooded royal, His Highness the Second Prince. Many had heard that because he was very frail, he absolutely never left the imperial palace. No one knew what he looked like. The crowd discussed how the royal family hadn't participated in 20 years, and a pure-blooded royal at that. Will a crown princess be born from this jewel match? Amber was so frightened by Platinum's true identity that she knelt on the ground, not even daring to lift her head. Ian told her to get up, saying this was exactly why he didn't want to say anything, because he hated it when people acted like this. But if I want to answer your question without you misunderstanding, I can only tell you the truth. As for why I want Marion, it's not her background that I want. Even if the wealth and power of Kalia and Cyrus were combined, it couldn't compare to even a fraction of what I enjoy in the royal family. I hate being talked about by insignificant people. That's why I didn't want to join Jewel Match. I didn't want to get married. I reached this age having only stayed within the imperial palace until I fell in love with her. You could say Ian loves her purity and her sorrow. He loves how she stands up strong. He loves her unyielding will to face challenges head on. Her soul itself makes his heart pound. Actually, pure-blooded royals have a certain illness known as the despairing heart. The mana that should have gathered in the heart loses its way, scattering to other places and causing the illness to manifest. There is no complete cure. Most royals who develop it live short lives. At that time, Ian thought that his father and older brother would take care of the country's affairs, so he just lived on decadently, until he happened to see a program where no one knew each other's true origins. Until he heard Marion say that she didn't look at a person's status or background, and only wanted to be true to herself and her feelings for the other person. After a brief and passionate love, she would remember him forever. Ian thought if someone who loved him could remember him forever, what would he look like in her memory? Suddenly, he realized that he felt like trash at that moment. These things made him feel ashamed. So Ian wanted to change. He came out of the palace to meet people and began to learn new things. Before and after meeting her, Ian's life was completely different. It was she who gave Ian a new life. Ian also sincerely wished her well, and was also jealous that she married Viserys. Ian also didn't expect Viserys to pass away so suddenly. But Ian also knew that Marion had called it a passionate, brief love. He also understood why she was determined to remarry. She wasn't looking for a new love, but needed a husband to protect Viserys' country. She doesn't have to love him the way she loved Viserys. Only Ian's father, if he participated in dual match, could grant him the right to amend the duchy's laws. After getting married here, he wants to change the law to allow Kalia to permit female succession to the throne. This way, even after Ian's death, she can protect Viserys' country. Ian hopes that she will remember a man who truly loved her and dedicated his life to her happiness. If he could be that person in her memory, he would want to give the rest of his life to her. Ian believes that the reason Marion is pure is because she is so strong that not a speck of dust can cling to her. She is pure platinum. Welcome. Ian told her he had never lied. A pure love. That is the only thing I am looking for in dual match. Even if others deceive me and sway my feelings for a time, my love for her will absolutely not change. Is this answer acceptable? At the same time, Owl brought a book that Obsidian liked for her. Obsidian told him that she most liked the scene where the female lead and the merman first fall in love. Owl moved closer, wanting her to explain in more detail. Obsidian told him that the female lead taught the merman how to dance on two legs. That scene was a little heart-fluttering. Owl once again pictured the scene she was thinking of.